I feel so privileged. I've been able to live in this modern time where we have access to so much information instantly. It's only until relatively recently that we've had access to information that is brought to us. We don't really have to go anywhere physically to have a plethora of data, information, facts available to us. Sources from the media, ebooks, audiobooks, the internet, of course. I mean, shoot, I get the New York Times online through the app, and I can play Wordle, all from my iPhone. It wasn't like that growing up pre-internet when I was young. We would be at the dinner table all together, and some idea or word or species of bird would come up. So the first thing you think of is the family set of encyclopedias in the next room, reading that definition out loud at the dinner table with everyone. And we would all either just soak it in and nod our heads in appreciation, or we'd have some kind of conversation around it. It's so gratifying to feel that we could go directly to a source, pull it from a shelf, bring it back, and learn something all together. In the early part of the 20th century, there were so many communities of people that lived in the region around the Kentucky mountains that did not have easy access to any sort of library. They would maybe pick up facts or how to cook certain dishes or cure something with a home remedy from word of mouth, passed from generation to generation. And people were isolated from the bigger cities. After reading the book, called The Book Woman of Troublesome Creek by Kim Michele Richardson, I picked up a lot of insight about the journey and the lives of the book women that delivered books to these communities that were isolated in this part of the country. Now, this book is not based on historical facts themselves, but it's loosely based. I highly recommend you read this book. The main character is a bookwoman, rides around on horseback through the hills and mountains, which are, not always kind of laid out in a way that we would have today. Kind of get from A to B, even if we have to make a few extra turns, it's pretty straightforward. Back then, in that area, they didn't have necessarily set roads everywhere, and they had to oftentimes go off path for miles and miles and miles, maybe 10, 15 miles, just to get to the next house. They would kind of curate books that were all donated to different patrons that they would visit along the way. And oftentimes they would read to patrons that didn't know how to read, or maybe they were blind or ill. So they were really bringing a new enlightenment and empowerment in teaching people how to read by just delivering this physical artifact of knowledge, whether fact or fiction. This act of dedication and courage really transformed these communities and helped them not only to become more literate, but to learn more about the world and about themselves through books and dialogue around those books. And so I encourage you and I challenge you to think about in your own communities, what deficits do you notice? What things are lacking? What opportunities are people missing due to something that they don't have? How can we be pack horse librarians in our own community to empower and enlighten others by bringing something that maybe they need but they don't know that they need, even if it means going out of our way?